What's up, everybody? Happy Monday here in this pilgrimage from Palm Sunday to Easter Sunday with Fulton Sheen's Life of Christ as our guide. I am happy to be here with you wherever you may be in life's journey. I am glad that you are here, and I'm glad that we get to be together. So yesterday we talked all about who Jesus is. Jesus declaring that he is the Messiah, that he is the chosen one, he is the king, and he pushes the envelope. My hour has come. So now you got to make a choice. Yesterday was all about that. Today it's all about what Jesus has come to do. Not just who Jesus is, but what Jesus has come to do, who he's come to do it for, and how we can follow him. That's what today is all about. So Fulton Sheen, he sets the scene in a really meaningful way where he describes how the Greeks were privy, they were witness to Jesus' entrance into Jerusalem. And there was something about Jesus. That's what Fulton Sheen writes. There was something about Jesus, something noble about the way Jesus entered Jerusalem that they were like, we got to spend time with this guy. We got to spend time with him. We got to be with him. We got to learn from him. Like we want time. So they get through to Philip and Philip and Andrew come to Jesus and they say, Jesus, here are some Greek individuals who want to spend time with you. And Jesus welcomes them. And this is the first part. Fulton Sheen says, okay, Jesus is the Savior, and he has this triumphant entrance into Jerusalem. And all of Jerusalem, all the Jews in Jerusalem, everybody in the city is like, he's the Messiah. He has come to save us, the Jews. And now Jesus is welcoming the Greeks, and he's saying, yes, I've come to save the Jews, but not just the Jews, not just my people. I have come to save the world. So Fulton Sheen says that the Greeks in this setting represent the world, the Greeks being universal and having a principle of universality. And so Jesus is like, okay, I am coming here not just to save the Jews, not just to be the Jewish Messiah, but to be the Savior of the world. He is not just a good moral teacher. He's not trying to be another Socrates. He is there to save the world. And so it's Jesus's entrance into Jerusalem that draws the Greeks in. And the Greeks are like, hey, let's get to know this guy. And Jesus is like, no, this is not getting to know me. This is, I am the savior of you. I am the savior of the world. And this matters because everywhere you look, if you look with the eyes of Jesus, you can see every person and say, Jesus died to save you. When you look in the mirror in the morning, you can say to yourself, Jesus suffered and died and rose again and ascended into heaven for me. You can go into an airport where there's a sea of people and you can look at each face and say, Jesus died to save you. You can look to the slums of India. You can look to the palace, Birmingham Palace. Like you can look from the lows to the highs and everywhere in between, and at every single person you can say Jesus died and rose again and ascended into heaven for you, for you, individually, personally, and specifically. Jesus died to save you. And and then Jesus is essentially offering for the Greeks to follow him. And so they come to sit at the feet of Jesus and spend time with him. And Jesus goes straight into a parable. And it's one of his last parables. And he says, in truth, in very truth, not just a little bit of truth, very truth, I tell you, a grain of wheat remains a solitary grain unless it falls into the ground and dies. But if it dies, it bears a rich harvest. This is John 12:24 through 25. And so they come, and the Greeks are known for a love of beauty and a love of poetry and a love of the arts. And Jesus comes with a hammer. Jesus comes in and he drops a solid, straight hammer. And he essentially says, look, If you want to follow me, if you want to enter into salvation with me, if you want to go where I'm going, you have to die. Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, you can't have life. And so the path to experiencing the life and the freedom that Jesus offers is by joining him in death. And Fulton Sheen says two things about this. He says the cross put into practice is self-discipline and the mortification of pride, lust, and avarice. So Fulton Sheen's like, we have to die. Part of the reason why we go and we suffer, part of the reason why Jesus allows suffering is because there are attachments that we have within ourselves. There are ways of being and thinking and living and choosing that are attached to this world that need to die in order to experience the life that Jesus offers. And so part of our journey with Jesus is a journey of acceptance of our own cross as a necessary component to receiving new life. That the cross isn't something that we can run from, because if we run from it, we reject the new life that Jesus is offering us. We remain tethered to the limitations of the world, and we don't actually have what we need to become who Jesus wanted us to become. That's the first thing. And then the second thing that Fulton Sheen says, if Jesus wanted to be a moralist and not a savior, he would have evaded death. But evading death would have rendered him impotent. He came to bring new life, not become a new Socrates. Let me say that again. If Jesus had evaded death, it would have rendered him impotent. It would have rendered him impotent. It's the same thing for you and me. If we run from our cross, if we run from the way in which the call to death for new life, if we reject the call to death for new life, then we are rendering our own missional capacity to live and love like Jesus. We are rendering that impotent. We are becoming missionally impotent in that context. Huh. It is an absolute unavoidable, powerful communication. If you suffer, you will be less than who you could be. If you avoid suffering, you will be less than who you could be. If you don't die, you will not experience new life. Now, Jesus also has empathy. So he delivers this message. He's like, look, you've got to die in order to have life. But Jesus also goes on to tell the Greeks, my soul is in turmoil, and what am I to say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this that I came to this hour, John 12:27. So he's reiterating it. He's like, look, this is what I'm here for. This is my mission. If I reject my mission, then I will be rendered impotent, which is the same for you. If you reject your mission, if you run from your cross, you will also be rendered impotent. But he also acknowledges, like, I don't want to do this. My soul is in turmoil. I want to ask my dad, like, save this from me. But I am going to submit my will and my desire and my nature towards self-preservation. I'm going to submit that to God, and I'm going to do whatever he tells me to do. I'm going to submit that my will to the Father. So Fulton Sheen says two opposites were united in Jesus, separated only in utterance: the desire for release and submission to the Father's will. So Fulton Sheen is saying there's parts within us that react to suffering, two different parts. One part that is naturally given to us by God for self-preservation. Like we're not supposed to actively seek death. This is what Fulton Sheen says. You're not to be a fanatic about wanting to die, for nature does not want to crucify itself. But at the same time, you're not to turn your eyes from the cross in cowardly dread. So you have these two parts. And the only way to fully accept your mission and to fully willingly die is to acknowledge this part over here that wants to preserve your own life. with empathy and understanding and compassion so that you can then turn to your mission and your cross and embrace it fully so that you don't turn from the cross in cowardly dread and render yourself impotent, missionally impotent. So Jesus takes us through this powerful, powerful message on the Monday before he dies. He says, I am not just the savior of the Jews, I am the savior of the world. He says, if you want to enter into this experience of new life, if you have to die, you have to enter into a death, you have to mortify your natural passions for this world, and you have to submit to God's will for you, God's mission for you, so that you can experience the freedom that I want for you. But I get how hard this is, and I get how painful this is, and I get how difficult this is. And I don't judge anyone who's like, no, Jesus, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go to that cross. I don't want to embrace the mission. He wraps his arms around that part of you. And he says, I know, I've been there, I understand. Now let's turn in that direction anyway, and let me lead you to new life. Whew. Holy Week. Powerful, powerful, powerful messages. If you want to reach out to me, if you want to talk more about today's message, please do so, jack@thecatholicmentor.com. Otherwise, I will see you again tomorrow for our Tuesday edition, day 3 of this pilgrimage journey. May God bless you, and may you always remember you are made to do hard things.